What's going on? We're going to be talking today about social issues versus financial issues. This is part two. Hopefully, I can get done with this. It is a couple more parts that I wanted to talk about. Last time we ended up on healthcare. I'm going to get right into it and go into housing. I was looking up some data on because we're going to be talking about crime, and I was looking up some data and that no one has basically been talking about. So let me start off with housing though, and once we deal with that, we'll go into crime. We still have, let's see, housing, crime, food security, and relationship issues and financial relationship issues basically. Yeah, that's the last one. All right, so let's get right into this housing issue. I talk a little bit about housing, quite a bit actually. That's really the meat and potatoes of my life. Like housing, I mean, is something that I've been working on personally as a means to have a better lifestyle, better overall, housing security. Basically, because I did have personally had a problem with housing, like paying rent and all of that type of stuff. It's been an issue with even me. Like a lot of times, the advice that I'm giving is kind of like I do give a lot of advice, right? I give a lot of information. What you guys don't know is a lot of the information I do give, like for example, housing or real estate information, it's not based off of something that I researched or something that I went to school for. It's something that I experienced myself. I've experienced basically situations where I got evicted. I've experienced situations where I've had problems with an apartment because the apartment was in bad shape, and I had to deal with calling the landlord and all of that type of stuff. So it's not me giving you advice off of just something that I read or anything. It's the best advice because I already busted my head. I already went through the struggles and stuff like that. So I know where that road goes. Like that's kind of like you remember when you were younger and your parents told you something, and then when you get older, you realize what your parents told you was totally spot on because basically they already knew. They saw something you didn't see. So that's kind of like some of the things that I do talk about. I have experience in, and I know about it from a perspective of I know how that road goes. I know where that road goes because I went down that road. So yeah, housing is one of them things that it really, it messes a lot of people up. Let's talk about basically how people are house poor. How many people would describe themselves as being house poor before we go into the situational things like homelessness and things of that nature. Let's talk about you know how about how the high cost of living is, right? That leads to foreclosure conditions and evictions, right? I've never had a foreclosure because I've never had a mortgage. Um, but the thing is I've seen people have foreclosures. I've, seen the other side of an eviction. I've experienced that before, unfortunately. And I learned by basically hitting my head up against the wall, buy some damn real estate. Don't fucking be a renter. If you can avoid it, buy buy. I mean, like Jim Cramer, but not Jim Cramer, the rich millionaire Jim Cramer on CNBC. Just a guy just giving you some good solid advice that ain't necessarily rich yet, but it ain't got no interest that is counter to what I'm trying to tell you, because I could see if like I had a rental management company and I'm trying to send people off, and I'm trying to tell people what to do so they could buy my rental property or something like that, or some crazy cockamamie scheme where I'm trying to divert people and send people off. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to give you the best advice possible so you can avoid the problems. I mean, basically all you got to do is just look at what the rich people do. What do the wealthy people do? Well, they buy assets. They buy fucking real estate. That's what they buy. Most of them, like 90% of them, buy real estate. That's what they do. So when it comes down to rentals, rentals is a situation where a lot of times people rent because they kind of have to. They don't have any other choice, and other than probably living with their parents. But I'm not gonna, people probably are more understanding if you live with your parents now. The high cost of living issues. People probably more acceptable for that. And then even if they're not, okay, high cost of living, I'd rather help out my parents, give them some money, or my mother, whatever, and just live there, because I'm gonna make somebody else rich, pay their expensive mortgage, and pay for all of this high rent so I can have some mirage of independence. I mean, that just you got to kind of understand about one of the things about finance is, does the ends justify the means? If the ends don't justify the means, meaning if what you spend your money on make you a better outcome financially, even freedom wise, like, is it worth all of that? Like, are you going to come out on top? That's where the ends justify the means, basically means like a lot of times people make decisions that really hurt them instead of help them. Yeah, you're going to have some freedom of a little box with a fridge and a kitchen and a bathroom, but you're going to pay for it. And then, okay, what happens if you lose your job? What happens if you had a bad year in business, or a bad few months in business? Okay, now you're in a situation where you're facing with some undue financial hardship, and you got this rent payment that does never stop. Does never stop, and you can't transfer it to someone. You can't. You only got 2 months in order to vacate the premises. In most states, have different laws, but in Illinois, I think it's like a few months before you get evicted. Indiana, I'm not necessarily sure because I never rented in Indiana. I don't know. So I think it's a lot faster than Illinois from just the things that I heard, but still the same process. You got to go to the county building, file an eviction, and then they have to, the sheriffs come out and evict someone. Because I actually, I was driving down the street and I saw the sheriffs actually going to a house to evict someone. So I actually saw, it was like around a block from me, I saw somebody get evicted. When you own a home, you can technically still get evicted. Like, I can get evicted. The county can evict me. They can, if I don't pay my taxes for a period of time, I can be basically, my taxes could be sold on my property, and then somebody else could buy my property, and then they can evict me from my property. But that span takes about 2 years. I have 2 years to have my taxes paid, or I could sell my house, or I can pay my taxes or whatever. So you just think of, do you want 2 years time versus 2 or 3 months? That's the choice that you have as far as which one you want. Now it's not easy because housing costs differ from different geographical areas. Midwest, the housing market is actually down. You could buy houses a lot cheaper now than, let's say, a year or two ago, but housing costs are generally least expensive. Now, do have to deal with cold weather and all of the types of things that you have to deal with in the Midwest. But yeah, I know other places trying to put down for a property with your own cash. You damn near have to be rich in order to be able to do that. So I do understand different markets. And even to be honest, the money that you put down on a house, like cash, it's not in the neighborhood that you want to really be in. It's not a neighborhood that you want to raise your children in. So it's pros and cons. It really isn't that much. Well, it is a difference in, at least I'll just say Illinois and Indiana. If you really want a very decent, robust neighborhood, and you want a nice house, yeah, you're gonna have to spend probably about $200,000, cash. So it's not, I'm not saying, okay, you could get a house in a decent neighborhood and in a good condition for like dirt cheap. Nah, it's some pros and cons to that. But yeah, you still gotta, significantly, come out your pocket to buy a real estate, in Illinois and Indiana. Like I say, in like a C grade neighborhood, basically you're gonna spend about 200 plus $1,000, depending on where you are. So that is a lot of money to basically fork over. The average person ain't saving $200,000. That's just not how that's going down, right? So depending on other places, like let's just say the DMV area, you probably gonna have to spend about $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 for a property to buy it cash outright to have the same type of situation. But I mean, okay, you buy a row house in Baltimore. I don't know what they're going for. I think they're going for like $30,000. But you got to deal with Omar and them. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with Omar and the crew. So it's pros and cons. So yeah, I mean, but okay, do you want to have to deal with Omar and the crew, or do you want to have to be evicted? And possibly, it's even in a fleeting moment of optimism, there's still optimism. Like it's kind of like playing chess. Some of the moves are not good moves, but it's still a better move in that situation where your opponent might have an advantage. You still got to make the best move you possibly can. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Like if you were born in a family where it wasn't no wealthy people that you could just lean on, like you're not born in the DuPonts or the Kennedys or something like that where you already getting $100,000 a month for inheritance. Like I mean, you're gonna have to make decisions based off of what you actually can do or not do, and a lot of those decisions are very, very difficult to make. So that's my monologue about housing. But let's go into some videos. Let's talk about it. Let's we got some information from some people on TikTok that is talking about housing rates and those types of things. Let's see here. Let's see what this is here.
15.1 million vacant homes, while homelessness is at an all time high of 650,000 human beings without housing. This is wild to me. I feel like most of these vacant homes are owned by these mega corporations and banks and people who just really don't need the homes. And they're taking away from people who actually do need the homes. As you can see, this is completely backwards. Everyone should be able to afford their own home, but it's not like that. The whole system is absolutely rigged to benefit the 2%. And the rest of us just have to just take it and suffer because, as we all know, whoever has the gold makes the rules. We don't have a homelessness problem, we have a greed problem, okay? That's what it is, and that's what it's always going to be until something changes. I feel like the whole world, how the inflation is up and how groceries is costing ridiculous amounts of money, everything is costing more and more. I feel like every week I'm like, are prices jumping up again? Like, and it's all because of the 2% greed, and it needs to end.
Yeah, basically what she's talking about is America's, the USA's unequitable distribution of wealth, or even class system, right? Because America, like I said, okay, if you look at America versus India, it has a caste system, it has a class system. So America pretty much operates on a situational approach of they don't really care about the people that don't really have money. You got to understand, where does this pathological mindset come from? It comes from basically uh, Great Britain. Okay, if you know anything about the history of Great Britain, Great Britain really never really could tackle its peasant class. It never really did deal with its peasants class, right? What it did was it took its peasants class and locked them up and threw them in insane asylums, and then they took them basically to America, right? And that's what you have, the 13 colonies, and you basically have um, people that took peasants and put them on a ship and sailed them to the Americas, right? Canada, basically North America, right? And other, British islands and stuff like that, right? So that mindset of though, and then you got the elites that came over too, right? Because they were over there, they had the red coats, right? So they still have that pathology also with the mindset of basically they also don't really care about, obviously their slave class, which is black people, that they brought in chains, from boats from the African kings, right, in Africa, that kind of pretty much had tribal warfare. Whoever got caught were basically sent off to be slaves, right? The dungeon of no return, right? So they don't care about poor people. The rich elites, the mindset that has been passed on is a situational approach of, may the best man win. Kind of like uh, what is that movie, the Hunger Games and all of that type of stuff. That is the mindset of basically the elites, oligarchs, and plutocrats in this country that may the best man win. So with that approach, they don't have some type of unilateral approach. Like, for example, this woman in this TikTok video, she mentioned Finland, and I didn't necessarily know about Finland. I knew about Malaysia, because how Malaysia dealt with their housing system crisis was they taxed their citizens for housing. So basically, it was like universal health care, but housing. If you didn't have adequate housing, guess what? You get adequate housing, and you're already working, so you taxed for it. Your taxes paid for it. Now, did you probably get some mansion, in the hills of Malaysia with, being in a situation where you couldn't afford housing? No, you just got some type of apartment or something, some type of, place to live, right? They just basically taxed everyone for that actual need, right? So what she educated me on was, I didn't know about Finland, because Finland is very interesting. They did what was called the housing first approach in 2007, and basically they provided housing to everyone that needed housing. They just basically used their probably sovereign wealth fund or tax system to basically provide emergency services, healthcare, and housing for everyone that needed it in the country, pretty much, that pretty much wanted housing. So what that did was it significantly reduced homelessness. Even though she says in the comment that it eliminated it, no, it did not eliminate homelessness. It significantly reduced homelessness, which is a severe situation, because that is a very good to statement, as far as it significantly reduced homelessness. So that means it made a huge impact. So you look at California and the tent cities, you look at even everywhere, right? Even Chicago had a bunch of tent cities. I don't know if they're still up, but you got a lot of problems with people in homelessness in America, right? Well, if they did something like Finland, which was just provide everyone adequate housing and assistance that's needed, that would probably most likely significantly also reduce homelessness, right? We know the U.S. Department of Defense is basically heavily funded, and that funding cannot be interrupted or changed, even I believe by the executive branch, as far as what I know. But I mean, I might be staying corrected on that. But the thing is that funding, they'll just rather beef up defenses and other things, and basically, like I said before, they'll have it where basically it's this sci-fi world where you have to survive, right? Everyone has to survive. May the best man win. Survive. So that's the game that goes on in America. That is the game. You got all of these opportunities, all of these wealthy individuals, all of these wealthy companies, all of these rich companies, all of these opportunities. And don't forget, though, it is a lot of people that do not apply for certain things. You got to understand, there are a lot of opportunities that people just don't know about. One of the good things about certain people that basically they make it their job to know certain things about grants, people that do grant writing, stuff like that. There is certain grants that you can qualify for. For example, like even me, I literally applied for my student loan to be reduced. I just applied for it. What did I have to lose? Like a period of time and just to submit certain information or whatever. But how many people probably don't apply? How many people maybe have a problem with reading contracts and reading applications? How many people don't really have internet like that? Some people don't even have laptops and computers. They just trying to use their phone to do everything. So, I mean, it is a lot of opportunities that you got to understand. People don't literally apply for. How many people watch entertainment content every single day? Those people. How many people do that? A lot of people, right? Millions of people, right? In order to be constantly entertained, right? You got to lose focus of something else, right? And that could be something that you need to do, something else that you need to be paying attention to. But you'll rather, divert yourself to entertainment and folly. So then you'll miss the message, you'll miss the information. So, I mean, it is that element to play as well, because a lot of people are entertained by popularity, folly, and entertainment, and they miss the message. So a lot of times what happens is a lot of times people would qualify for certain things, but they don't know about it and they don't apply, right, for that help. So that is an element, because the United States still does have a lot of grants. They have a lot of funding. The basically government funds a lot of shelters, a lot of non-for-profits that have housing initiatives and stuff like that. People don't really know about this type of thing because they're just not in the know. They're not well read and educated enough to know, okay, let me go on the grants and see what they have, on whatever grant.gov or us.gov or whatever. It is a lot of resources that are out there that everybody pays taxes for to pay into this system that people don't qualify for because they don't know they qualify for, So it's like, basically that's why people go to social service centers and they sit down and talk to somebody, and then they try to see what they can utilize to help them, kind of get on their feet or get in a better situation. Like a lot of times people don't ask for help, especially men, because men we're taught to soldier on, keep left and right, and just keep, soldiering on through life and not ask for help, when it's all kinds of resources out there everybody paid taxes for. You've worked, you had good years. Okay, you have a bad year. You done already paid into the system for those years of good times that you had. If you need those resources, you've already paid somebody to help other people, get resources. So shouldn't be no reason why you should not try to, gather those resources for your own use when you need them. You know what I'm saying? So it is that element to play that cannot be overlooked. You can't overlook that element, and that's a big element. How many people don't even take the initiative to look for, government grants, certain assistances that you can get if you on hard times, if you need like a grant to they got grants for down payments for houses and mortgages and stuff like that. They got all kinds of stuff, that people just don't take advantage of because they just don't know, but that's a lot of red tape, right? That's red tape. Finland just basically like, we're going to help every citizen that needs help, give them the emergency services, healthcare, that they need, give them housing. It wasn't, basically probably went to a government Finland site or something, and then they just signed you up automatically. It was more streamlined. They just basically just, as a government, provided everyone with that pipeline of service that they needed, and they just used their own tax system to do so. America, they have it complicated. It's like really complicated, a lot of red tape. They do have support services and stuff like that, but it's extremely complicated. It's like in paperwork and binders and books and different websites with articles and qualification letters and application letter. A lot of people get confused with all of that, so America still does have like a lot of assistance and funding. They could do a lot more. They could do a lot more, but it's not adequate enough to deal with the amount of people that are homeless, in America. It's not enough funding. It's not enough, universal assistance for people that are homeless. You can see that. You know that by just walking down the street, see all the homeless people. Ideally, all you got to do is just go turn on YouTube, put in California homeless encampments or whatever. You can see it. You don't even have to get on a plane and go there. You can see all of the encampments. It's real bad in Washington, the state of Washington as well. I mean, it's all over, man. People are not able to take care of the cost of living. They're just not able to pay for those things. So I got another video here. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Than any other time in U.S. history. The average monthly mortgage payment is now over $3,300. The average cost to rent is now nearly $2,200. Typically what happens is when you have rising interest rates, housing prices tend to go down, but this has not been the case. The median home price is actually rising in addition to rising rates. A median home in the US is selling for roughly $400,000 and rates are at 7%. A lot of this is due to how quickly they rose interest rates because a lot of people have rates locked in at under 3%, whereas new buyers are kind of screwed over. So people who locked in really low rates really have no reason to move or sell. The median age for a new home buyer is now 36 years old, the highest it's ever been. People are spending over half of their income just to pay rent or afford their mortgage. And heading into 2024, things aren't really looking to get any better unless there's a drastic increase in the housing supply. Now less of
show you the house I bought for $379. I mean, it's a townhouse, so you have an idea of what it looks like. Keep in mind, this townhouse is now $430, and I bought it for $370 3 months ago. Like Arlington, Texas, is like an elite location in Dallas. Because remember, there's two big towns in Dallas. There's Dallas and there's Fort Worth. And Arlington is smack dab in the middle. Oh, and Cowboy Stadium, you can't see it from the front, but you can see it from the back, is like 5 minutes away. Side note, if you're going to a Dallas Cowboys game and you don't want to deal with the parking, link up with me and you can park in my driveway and I drop you off and pick you up. Here we go. So this is the house right here. I was the first one on the block and now all these other houses are finished. Okay. I love this porch because I'll be out here smoking cigars and shit. So this is it right here. Like, I like the whole modern wall thing, but this is the living room. This is where I do my writing. It came with the stove and the microwave and shit, but I had to buy the refrigerator though. Let me show you something cool about this fridge. So you see it? That's the fridge, that's the freezer, and that's the flex zone. Oh, sign out, check this out. I want to check this shit out. See it right here? $1,000 just for that. Oh, and this is like the flex zone. You could program it to do anything. And you know I'm alcoholic, so I fucking use it for drinks and shit. So this is the downstairs bathroom. It's just a half. I'm gonna take you upstairs. Here we are. All right, the master bedroom to the right, the guest to the left. I'm gonna show you all the cool shit in here. So this is my bedroom. I'm a bachelor, so no, I don't do the decorating shit. Here's the one closet. Nothing but my hoodies, because I don't like clothes. And this is the other one. This is the bathroom. Holla at me if you use the CPAP and you have questions, because I know I do. But this is the bathroom. Glass shower. The shitter's over there. And leaving the master. Oh, this is cool. The washer and dryer up here. And these are just 2 empty bedrooms and an empty bathroom that never gets used. And this is the reason I'm poor.
Yeah, so he's got a lot going on. A lot of people bought property in the Dallas Fort Worth, Houston area. A lot of people moved there. That was like a hot spot where people moved to. And you know, basically people have to pay the mortgage no matter what too. It's like it's not that it's a difference with mortgages than rent, but you know, it could be a situation where you could even pay more than rent for that particular property, right? Because you gotta consider all of the other costs that's involved, right? You know, you got taxes, you got, you know, like this says, you got insurance payments, you got maintenance on the house, you got utilities, right? It is a cost, man. It's a cost that's involved with home ownership that is not when it involves renting. But a lot of times, see, here's the thing, right? I am a financial expert, believe it or not. Believe it or not, I am a financial expert. And basically, how you avoid be housing poor is the reason. Well, let's just start off with the reason why people are housing poor. Is because they bought too much house than what they can afford. So I created a rule that you can use to avoid to be housing poor. This is from like my old blog, like years ago, where basically you can avoid being house poor. Okay, let me open this up here. Let me open this 1.5 rule up. Okay, so to avoid being house poor, the trick is you have to buy a less expensive house than even what you probably even want. I know that sucks, right? Because it's kind of like, just look at a house, right? Like that bad chick that you wanted, right? And you knew you had to come up out your pocket for. Well, I'm basically saying with the 1.5 rule, avoid trying to get that bad chick. You can't afford that bad chick, quote unquote, right now. You know, you probably have to get let's just say a moderately bad chick, like basically something that she looks decent, but she ain't that fine. She's not drop dead gorgeous and sexy, but she can, you could take her to the store, you can upgrade her later, type of thing. That's the way to kind of explain the 1.5 rule, to be comedic about it. But basically, you don't buy a house that's no more than 1.5 times your earnings. So if you make $70,000 a year, let me just read this off, just how it describes it. So if you're single and you make $50,000, this explains the basically 1.5 rule. And just for record, housing poor means you're spending over 50% of your income on housing costs. That's what house poor means. Okay, so to avoid housing poor, to be housing poor, you use the 1.5 rule. The 1.5 rule, and this is not necessary. It might be something that I didn't necessarily make up. It could already be in existence, because I think I got this from some research I did, but I might have changed the name. I don't know. But the thing is this is the formula. So if you're single and make $50,000, you take $50,000 times 1.5, you get $75,000. So you can afford a house that's about $75,000. I know this is tough, right? Because if you're making $50,000, this is according to today's house. This is not according this. I wrote this. When did I write this? I wrote this in 2019. Okay, this was before the housing market shot up. So, and then you also got to understand, this is a perspective of someone is from, basically the Illinois, Indiana area, the Midwest. These are Midwest prices that I have. So, I mean, and you're in a different market. I'll just say maybe you might need to use the rule 2.5. You might need to use 2.5. Like those that are in higher markets, just the formula is 2.5. But if you're in the Midwest, if you're in a market where it's least expensive, it's a lot less expensive, the 1.5 rule will still work. Because I'm gonna just say it like this, right? So let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about. Forget me just talking about it. I stay with the realtor.com app on most of the time. So let's do this here. So basically, let me close out all of this. Let me see here. All right, so you take Cook County, because that's the Chicagoland area. The Chicagoland area is Cook County. All right, so you take Cook County, and we're gonna go buy. Gonna click buy, right? Now the goal is you want to find a property that is livable as possible, or something that you can make livable, because you could get a 203K rehab loan, for properties. You can do that, and that would basically, I don't know why this is keep doing this. You could get a rehab loan to fix the property up, you got to keep that in mind as well. You could get a rehab loan for like 75, 80,000, no more than 100 grand, and then you could fix the property up. You know, so it's, you know, like I say, man, critical thinking skills is amazing. It's not, it's, you know, it's a lot of things you could do, you know. Money can change situations. It happens a lot. So if you could find basically a property in a particular area, you know, basically that is so if you could find properties in particular areas that are decent, it's like, you know, really decent, then, you know, basically you could fix a property up and put you know, basically get it up to code, get it renovated, and you know, basically you could do that. All right, so let's go a little bit further down. So I just put Cook County, Illinois within 25 miles, 25-mile radius. So for example, this house here, this is Park Forest. This is like a C minus kind of D plus neighborhood, to be honest, right? It's not that bad. It's okay, you know. It's a lot. Like, I would move tomorrow if I could. Like, if it was a difference, if I could house trade someone, I would probably, I mean, it's, you know, depending on the condition, because my house is in decent condition. Yeah, my house is in better condition than this. So this is not intimidating to me because I'm very well versed in construction and my handyman skills are impeccable. So this house looks like it needs about, let's just say, $50,000 worth of work. Okay, so you just look at this, right? And then all you got to do is find the comparables. The taxes is about $4,000, which is kind of high. It was even more, but you got to look at the comparables around it. Okay, so you just basically, you got to look up, you got to open a new window. You got to open up a new window, and then you just put in this here. That was a 2-bedroom, like, slab. All right, so you just basically you gotta tell realtor that you only looking for a house. Then you're looking for only 2 bedrooms, two bedrooms, 1 bath. And just click done. Listing status. Recently sold only. So that's what you do there. So as you can see, the properties are going for about 125, and this is what was sold recently. Okay, like, as if when was this last sold? Yeah, it was just sold. So like within like last month or so, this house was sold for about 130,000. So you buy for 45 the other house, And let's just see the renovations if there was any done, because this might have not even been renovated. Okay, it's been renovated. Yeah, some nice kind of, these are like new design walls, like new art, you know, kind of like artistic designs. It's very easy to do that. A lot of people do that. Okay, some nice kitchen cabinets, a very deluxe stove. They got basically the stainless steel combo, but with the kind of deluxe gas stove there. Floors, decent floors. Looks like that's that might be laminate flooring or wood laminate. Nice bathroom. You know what? I think I know the dude that installed this bathroom. It's a dude that I follow on Instagram that does bathroom installations in different projects. He does home renovations. I think I know the dude that did that. I mean, I don't know him, but I follow him on Instagram. So it's got like basic renovation stuff. I mean, they went out their way. You could tell. So the person that did this property, they're a pro renovator. You know, you can get to a point where you got money, like a lot of funding, and your money good. You got a lot of momentum going. And you could just, you know, basically you got a healthy budget to work with, and you could basically, you know, put your own design kind of touch to your properties and get some, you know, get sales. So I want to see, I'm more curious. I want to see what they kind of bought this property for. I want to see. So they probably bought this property for less than 34,000. Okay, so they was trying to sell it for 134, but they ended up selling it for 125. So recently, as of December 18th, as of actually yesterday, it got sold. So that's fresh off the press. So yeah, so you can see, like, yeah, you could you go back here and you get this for 45. You might not even have to put 50 into it. You know, that's just me saying that. Like, I mean, that's just like rough estimates. You might only have to put like 20 grand in this joint. And it's already got brick. So you don't really have to worry about too much of the siding. It needs a new roof. That's a walk-off roof. So you with a couple of basically laborers can do that roof yourself. You can pick some people up from Home Depot. They can knock them gutters down, reshingle that roof. You probably be out like maybe less than $1,000, man. You know, but you got to know what you're doing. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, then yeah, it's gonna be challenging for you. But you do this right here, your mortgage ain't gonna be that much. The whole point is your mortgage would be like $400 or $500. You know, but that's, like I say, that's in this market. You know, that's in the Midwest. That was in Park Forest, Illinois. So the thing is this. This is the thing. You can avoid being house poor. You know, that's the whole like synopsis of that conversation was you can definitely avoid being house poor in particular markets. Even if you follow the 2.5 rule, you'll probably be better off than people that's just basically blanketed, just buying totally expensive houses than what they can afford. Okay, so we pretty much dealt with housing. Okay, let's go into crime. Okay, let's go into crime. Let's talk about, you know, when it comes to social issues versus financial issues. You know, there's some things to consider. Okay, crime is one of those things. Okay, crime is, a lot of people do things for money because they break the law because, it's an incentive to do so. They don't either have any opportunities or the opportunities are, basically um, fleeting.
Of us on the right were saying that crime isn't down, it's really up. Guess what? We were right. What you're looking at is the FBI has revised all of its crime stats. Right? Here it is right here. Crime is not down, crime is up. I encourage everybody to go and get this data from the FBI crime statistics right here. You can go and find this anywhere and take a look for yourself. Look at this. Libs of TikTok just tweet this out right here. FBI just quietly updated their crime data for 2022. Turns out it was missing thousands of crimes. Just like we said, there was something like 6,800 departments not reporting, including Los Angeles and including New York City. Here we are. Look, the updated data shows that there were 80,000 more violent crimes in 2021. There were an additional 2,000 murders, 8,000, you see it there? 33,000 robberies and 37,000 aggravated assaults right there. Just like we said it is. It is free tweets us out. They don't censor lies, they censor truth. This is what creates a monster that will consume us all, just like they have in the UK. All facts. So tweets this out. FBI noted that not all agencies participate in the Uniform Crime Reporting Program, which could lead to incomplete data set trends from 2021, right? Here we are. Insurrection Barbie tweets this out. They edit job numbers, they edit crime numbers, they edit Democratic speeches. Does anybody believe them? Absolutely not. We all said it. And take a look at this, right? This is just common sense scale for you. Pay attention.
Dove soap, it's now behind that thing. You have to ask for someone to come and open it if you want Dove soap. Is there like a black market now for Dove soap that I'm not aware of?
We never had to shop like this before. We could just go right in there and take the Dove soap right off the shelf. Not anymore. You have to hit these buttons, even for chewing gum, even for candy, even for Band-Aids, even the simplest things in life you have to push that button for. You know why? Because crime's up, not down. CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all of them doing the same thing, putting everything behind plexiglass. When in history have we ever had to live like this? Put it in the comments down below and I'll see you in there. Be safe.
Okay, so that's that. Now, here's another alarming statistic on crime that is very, very alarming. And it explains why there is such a discrepancy when it comes to dating and mating in America. What a lot of people don't understand about the social issues and the financial issues related to crime and the economic disparities and the lack of resources, this increases incarceration rates. Okay. Basically, this is all related. So here's the thing, and I've said this, I'm probably the only one that said this about, basically the stats when it comes to female incarceration increases. Women are increasingly, you just think I'm just playing the little cop videos with the women getting arrested for just, shits and giggles. I mean, maybe, but not really. There's a certain increase of incarceration when it comes to women that nobody is hardly talking about. No one, absolutely no one. This is all related. Everything is related. Everything, you got to understand, when you're looking at everything is related. You wonder why women are having problems with dating and mating. You wonder why men are having problems dating and mating. This is one of those pieces of the puzzle of why that is an issue. Okay, let's read this briefly. The rise of incarcerated women in the U.S. Okay, by Ann Fleck, April 12, 2022. The number of women incarcerated in the U.S. shot up by 700% over the past 4 decades, according to Research and Advocacy Center, the Sentencing Project, showing an increase from 26,378 in 1980 to 222,455 in 2019. That's nearly twice the rate of growth for men. But since the absolute number of incarcerated women is much lower by comparison, their narrative is often hidden behind wider trends. Basically, the media is not telling you what's going on. They're hiding the actual reality of what actually is going on. All of those cop videos of women getting arrested, all of those, if you ever watched the show on cable, Snapped, and things that I do for love, women doing things for their boyfriend, for their, and here's a new term, right? People saying Pookie and Ray Ray. We gonna retire. Like Pookie and Ray Ray is not the same, right? Okay, you got what the new term is, basically street soldiers. It's a difference between a Pookie and Ray Ray and a street soldier. Pookie and Ray Ray might not necessarily be street soldiers. A street soldier is someone basically doing criminal activities, shooting, killing, running the streets, doing all kinds of acts. That's a different type of person than, okay, you can say it's the same thing, but it's a difference between someone that has thug type, behavior versus someone actually doing thug actual activities like running the streets, shooting people, robbing people and all of that type of stuff, in their, right state of mind or whatever, have to throw that out there. But yeah, street soldiers, a lot of women are dating street soldiers and getting involved with street soldiers activities, and they're helping their street soldier boyfriend do these street activities, right? So they getting caught up. All you have to do is open up the latest news article, and you can see basically, who last did what. Because these women are trying to survive, and they their boyfriend is a street soldier, so they have to help out there, just like any other woman, whether you like it or not. She tries to help out her boyfriend. Okay, it doesn't matter if her boyfriend is a street soldier, she's gonna try to help her street soldier boyfriend out, because she loves him. That's her boo thing. You know what I'm saying? So she's gonna help help out her boo thing no matter what. And if that means that she's got to take the charge, just so be it.
Hey, see something. Now you see now, you done fucked up, don't you?
I
see what I'm saying.
I thought.
No, so you know what I'm saying? You done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
So it does correlate. All right, so reading further, let me put this article in my chat so you can have it. I'm going to read this second paragraph and I'm going to move on. It says, one of the reasons cited for such a major increase can be traced back to the draconian policies brought in under the War on Drugs campaign in the 1970s. This is reflected in the numbers, with more than 61% of women incarcerated in federal prison for nonviolent drug crimes, according to the Drug Policy Alliance. Under the new rules, women could be jailed for conspiracy with drug networks, for simply living with a partner or family member involved in drug sales, while mothers who tested positive for any drug could face imprisonment for child abuse. This revealed a racial element too, as while drug use is fairly consistent across racial and ethnic groups, Black women were almost twice as likely to be incarcerated than white women for drug law violations, with Hispanic women 20% more likely and Native American women 6 times more likely, according to the Drug Policy Alliance reports. All right, so let me see here. I want to show you something. You know, if you probably don't know, like, this is the stuff I didn't know until after, basically the rapper King Von basically died. I didn't even know who King Von was. I didn't know anything about no online, beef. I didn't know anything about this, but apparently, there was to kind of point out the mindset of you got a lot of women that don't have they don't have resources. You're just basically trying to survive, and you got a lot of women that are in this type of scenario. And then this is why a lot of women are masculine looking and even leading to homosexuality, as far as being lesbians, being studs, or the derogatory term is dykes, where they're very heavily masculine and they exhibit a male thug, as far as looks. This is why that is, because of the financial issues in society. It correlates to social issues, and then you got different issues as well, like the father not being in the household greatly contributes to those types of behaviors and social designations, I'll just say. So let's play this here. This is kind of like from this perspective of like kind of lower socioeconomic, basically South Side Chicago, Black Chicago, basically. Just in case you have this Madonna whore complex or this like angelic, because we're taught and programmed to look at women like they're angelic beings that do no wrong. They're mothers and they raise beautiful babies and they take care of them and all of that, and they're just like these angelic women. Unfortunately, society has crushed that viewpoint and that standard to hell. Okay, so this is going right now.
We have 16 people who have been injured, 2 people who have been shot fatally, one of them being 17-year-old Jakira Barnes, who was just walking with a friend, and neighbors say a gunman fired, striking her at least 9 times. Now,
so this, when I talk about the gang warfare, the street soldiers, the GDs and the BDs, right? The Black disciples and the gangster disciples. Well, this is that beef, basically. These are millennials that were beefing with each other.
Spoke to her mother, her grandmother, and uncle, who all say she was a great girl. She's more than just a statistic. She is
Jakira Barnes was born into the south side of Chicago in 1997. At 1 year old, her father was shot in the head with an AK-47 outside his home on 79th and Avalon. After this, Kira and her twin brother George would live with their mom and grandmother off 63rd in St. Lawrence. Growing up, she was known for being shy and was never really the troublemaking kind. She was attending a math and science institute and wanted to be a social worker when she grew up. The area she lived in was controlled by the gangster disciples, though, and this would start to influence her over time. In her early teens, she began attending parties and associating herself with the GDs. She noticed the respect and protection the gang members received at these parties, and she envied it. As like most teens growing up in the rough neighborhoods like this, by age 13 she had already lost friends to the violent war, making her cold-hearted. She eventually joined the GDs and started repping her set, STL. If you don't know what STL is, you may be familiar with one of its most popular members, FBG Duck. She gained the nickname KI, or Snoop, which was a reference to Snoop from the TV show The Wire. As the war in her neighborhood heated up, her priorities started to shift towards status and reputation, something she was willing to risk everything to gain. Being a girl, she felt the pressure to really prove herself in the streets in order to get the respect the guys were getting. One way she could earn this would be to take out a high-ranking shooter from her set's biggest ops, Wick City or Parkway Gardens, the home of people like Chief Keef. Wick City and STL are located literally across the street from one another and had been at war for years. But things would escalate in January of 2011 after the death of 15-year-old Shondale Gregory. Shondale was murdered by Wick City and went by the now infamous nickname, Tuka. Rival gangs would mock the death of Tuka on social media and in songs. Because Tuka was only 15 when he was gunned down at the bus stop, this hit STL hard, and they even renamed their hood Tukaville. At the time, KI was only 13, but she and Tuka were friends, and this was her opportunity to put on for her set and get revenge. 8 months would go by, the war only getting worse, making the cross streets of these neighborhoods one of the deadliest in America. O.D. Perry, a man from Wick City, was rumored to have been one of Tuka's killers. On August 10, 2011, STL would celebrate Tuka's birthday and film FBG Duck's freestyle music video, where you can see a young KI in the cut. Shortly after the video was filmed, KI and a few other gang members would slide over to Parkway Gardens looking to start trouble. O.D. Perry would be riding a bike home from the corner store just outside Parkway around 11:30 p.m. KI and STL member Bostro would open fire on O.D., shooting him in the neck and killing him. Wick City or Parkway Gardens would then rename their neighborhood in honor of O.D. They now called it O-Block. This is where King Von comes in the story.
Yeah, bitch.
Word on the street spread fast, and KI was seen on social media with what looked like O.D. Perry's gun, proving she had caught the body. O-Block quickly got word about who was behind this, and its members were all looking for KI and Bostro. King Von was one of the people taking interest in getting revenge for O-Block. Von, who was 17 at the time, was in and out of prison, and was suspected to have a few bodies already. The first interaction KI and King Von would have was on a train, where Von and other O-Block members jumped and stomped her out. But soon after, KI would lose her cousin and friend Tyquan Tyler, who was just like a little brother to her. He was only 13. She cried all night and made a promise to avenge him in any way she could. She changed her Twitter username to Tyquan Assassin for him, and would go on shooting sprees often in his name. Becoming a real problem, O-Block needed to get rid of her. King Von would write KI on Twitter, taunting and flirting with her at the same time. He enjoyed messing with her head, telling her that he liked her and wanted her for real. Sometimes they would argue, dissing each other's dead homies, and other times they acted like friends. They even spoke on the phone a few times. One day, Von went out looking for KI at a popular store her gang hung out at. When he was spotted, they would lock the door to the store to keep him out. Von went to Twitter saying they were scared of him. KI replied back saying she was on her way, but nothing happened until days later when King Von and his best friend T-Roy were shot at. Von was hit in his leg but was fine. He and T-Roy tweeted that they were going to kill KI for real. These threats would go back and forth until other members from STL also jumped in the beef.
So I mean, you probably don't really have a vision of what goes on and just kind of how. I mean, to people of higher classes that maybe are from a higher socioeconomic class, you kind of look at that like it's goofy, but that's their life. That's it's like Chicago is kind of rough. If you came here, you could kind of understand how rough it is, but a lot of what makes it rough is the people, obviously. in the environment, the concrete, the actual trains, the metal, all of the people in the city. It's kind of like Mouse Utopia-ish, to a certain extent. And then, basically you have all of the problems that you have as far as homelessness and joblessness and all of that stuff. It creates this cesspool of crime, right? Chicago is known for crime going back to what, the Al Capone days, even before Al Capone, right? Chicago has a reputation of being a very underworld, crime-ridden, environment, right? Because the one of the things about, why that is, right? I keep saying the Midwest, right? Well, the Midwest is very much a part of Chicago. Chicago is a big part of the Midwest. Chicago is the New York of the Midwest. Okay, why is that? Well, if you want to send freight to the East Coast, to California, guess who you got to come through? You got to come through Chicago. The train system going from east to west is coming through Chicago. You want to move trucks, you got to go from Chicago past New York, past, Chicago, back to the West Coast. It's a big hub. It's a hub of different, travels going from the north to the south, the east to the west. It's a hub. So this hub is a financial hub, as well as all kinds of other things, whether it be legal or illegal. It's a hub, a center of logistics, so that's why Chicago is what it is. Now, crime definitely plays a role in, again, one of the biggest statistics is that 700% spike that is in female incarceration. That is why that is the, basically, I would say the downfall of women trying to compete with capitalism and, basically survive and be independent of men. Feminism definitely plays a role into these incarceration rates. No one wants to talk about, but I'll talk about it, because it's very, very important. These help you in making important decisions in your life about where you live, where you choose to have a family, who you choose to have a family with. All of these factors play a role in your decisions. You can be a master of understanding of societal issues and make very, very key important decisions to your benefit and gain, based off of the problems and ills of society. I use them on a day-to-day basis to basically have a superior mindset and understanding of what's going on. I mean, basically, part of being a man is being a master of oneself and a master of everything outside of yourself as well. That's where the term Mr. comes in. Mr. comes from the word master. That's where the word Mr. comes from. So, basically that's part of that. That's why I absolutely love to study statistics and what's actually going on, because it helps you kind of, like, if you look at life like chess, it helps you make the best decision in life, to know what's going on, to know the lay of the land and what's going on. So, that's very, very important. So we're going to look at this video here. I'm probably going to have to make this a part 3.
impacts way too many families. When we think about the injustices in the prison industrial system, but Black women are suffering too, and not just because her boo is locked up. Here to help me break down this topic and issue are my co-hosts, Kiara Kelly and Africa Miranda. Keep watching, because Listen to Black Women is about to start. Here at Listen to Black Women, we're always caping for Black women. That's why we want to focus on a population that's not U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics. Black men accounted for 37%.
So obviously these women are basically staunch feminists. Basically, that's what they're trying to tell you. Yeah, they're very, very staunch feminists. But kudos to them for telling what's actually going on, because it's basically people are not talking about what actually is going on. So at least they talking about it. So what's going on is,
he said take a village to raise a child, but what if the village is retarded?
What's going on?
The total prison population. We talk about this a lot, but Black women account for about 22%. To give context, African Americans are approximately 14% of the population. This is a staggering number. Imprisonment devastates individual lives, households, and communities. This all leads us to our question of the week. Why are Black women left out of the mass incarceration conversation? Africa, what do you think about this?
Jail's a business. Ava DuVernay broke it down in 13th. We saw how it goes. The ACLU has some really great stats that honestly I didn't even realize until I saw this. Black women spend longer times in jail, often for crimes that they didn't commit, most times because they don't have money for bail. It also reports that 60% of women in jail have not been convicted, but they lose jobs and housing while they're waiting for trial, and this increases the poverty cycle. Next, it also says that 25% of women in jail are there for non-violent crimes. So 25% of
Okay. So, the thing is this, right? It's like the things that's being said online versus what's actually going on is two totally different things. Two totally different things. So, for example, the whole narrative of I don't want any trash bag dusties. I don't want any broke guys. I want to be hypergamous. Well, I mean, I don't know who's following that message, right? But that's not actually, I mean, even if you're saying that, the data does not correlate with what you actually want, because the data says you're actually what you say you don't want. You are the trash bag dusty as well. That's what the data says. So when you say you don't want a trash bag dusty, okay, who are you getting, right? And it's like you're not getting much. And the thing is that you probably, obviously you probably want to work with the trash bag dusties, maybe pick up some cans, pick up some trash, right? With him, try to, self-improve together, because obviously the contrary does not work. It's not any improvement. It's just, statistic after statistic that are very, very negative, very, very poor. And it's like, well, maybe you need to stop talking about what you don't want and accept whatever you can get to improve your situation, because you're obviously not getting anything and it's not working out. And again, the media will hide this because it's to their benefit. The elites will like to hide things. In case you didn't fucking know that shit, the elites like to hide every fucking thing possible. That's what they do.
Message.
Okay? The elites hide every fucking thing. They want you to be fucking absolutely unaware and clueless so you can continue to fucking go down a spiral hill of basically death, destruction, and mayhem while they live in the ivory castles and the mansions and lavish estates. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm trying to get there too, because you got to understand, I did my yeoman's work. You know what I'm saying? I let you know all kinds of shit. A lot of people did not listen. A lot of people do not listen. And, I'm definitely trying to self-improve. I am not a communist. I'm a capitalist. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff is like me just telling you, me being like a volunteer, trying to help you understand what's going on. So, don't get it confused and twisted.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
So let's continue with this.
Of women in jail are there for non-violent crime. So we have these little fish that are keeping this whole cycle and this business running. Like, it's not about like rehabilitating these women, making sure that we're going to help them, or even really prosecuting these crimes because they're not even convicted. It's just keeping them in this system to make money.
And when we are convicted, we're jailed at unfair rates. A study by the Institute of Women's Policy Research reveals that Black women and girls are traditionally over-sentenced for crimes that they may commit. And then we also can't ignore the fact that a lot of Black women are subjected to emotional and physical abuse in their communities. And that makes them at-risk populations for committing some crimes. And whereas white populations, they may get counseling,
like that weave that you got on your face right there. You trying to cover up a bunch of lies and excuses, and we not gonna do that.
Stop the cap.
Everybody knows this is chess. It's war. And the shit ain't fair. It ain't fair. It never was fair.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
It was never fair. So if you asking for fairness on the battlefield, good luck, Cupcake, because it ain't fair.
rehabilitation, we just get sent to prison. And there's not this kind of, okay, let's help them work through these issues. Instead, they just package them up and ship them to jail. And that is completely unfair to our communities.
Yeah. In pop culture, we see these injustices play out in kind of more rags to riches kind of stories, like Remy Ma. We saw her go to jail. She came back and it was the glow up. But we rarely see the average woman who goes to jail because of poverty. So in these narratives, we have to switch how we actually look at women who are being
the glow up and the crash out currently. Okay, crashing out because she cheated on her simp husband that basically did everything for her, and now he's flipping the turntables on her ass, and she's crashing out. She's probably gonna go back to jail.
Being jailed. Let's see what you guys are saying on social media. We got us now posted on Facebook. We have moms, dads, grandmas, and grandpas sitting in legal limbo over incarcerated in our country for decades. Hashtag over incarcerated.
Like Africa was saying, it's the business. Yeah. And they make money off of just filling the beds. So they don't care if you're guilty or not.
No. Nor do they care about your loved ones. That's the last thing on their mind. They're thinking about their money.
Yeah. And making.
It would help if you have a fucking man, if you had a husband, maybe you wouldn't go to jail. 1, 2, and then you got, instead of you just trying to come up with it, you have 2 people trying to come up with the bail money to get your ass out of jail, which is ridiculous. You're a bad husband if you allow your wife to go to jail, obviously, which most husbands, they don't allow their wife to go to jail. Okay, that's a good question. That's like a research question, right? Let's look that up, right? What is the percentages of married women that go to jail? Genius brain working in full effect. You know what I'm saying? What's the percentages of married women that go to jail versus single women. Okay, right? Oh my God. What is the percentages of married women that get incarcerated, that are incarcerated versus single women? I'm terrible this morning, man. I'm terrible, but I'm good. I'm educating you. I'm giving you the educational lessons that you need. Oh God, what's the percentages? They can't. It broke the AI. That's how good of a fucking question that was. That shit broke the fucking AI. Like, God damn it. Only the fucking let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here if we can find the data. They want to play hardball. You know, stuff like this is like, yeah, they got an agenda, man, to push, man. They want people to be locked up and poor, man. That's what the fucking, situation is. You know, they want people to be locked up and poor. Obviously. Oh, well, I just got another thought. Well, what's the percentages of women the percentages of single women in prison? Let's see here, man. What's the percentages of married women in prison? Let's try first married women in prison, and then just try single women in prison. All right, let's see here. All right, what's the percentages of married women in prison? See, they can't find that shit. Let's see if we can Google this shit here. Hold on. Let's go to Google because Bing sucks. All right, let's see here. And I'm gonna have to make this a part 3. Okay. Yeah, Google AI is better than whatchamacall, Bing or Copilot. Not surprising. All right, so let's see here. Okay, definitely like, share, subscribe, and hit the cash out. Yep. All right. So let's see here. So this is what we got. In 2016, 14% of prisoners in the United States reported being married. So that's what we were looking for. Most common marital status for prisoners in state prisons is never married and or single. Do this that often, double bomb. Triple.
Really him. You're a victim. Here we go, CSI. Message.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
So yeah, I'm gonna end it on that. I don't need to say no more. I done motherfucking found the research of all research, man. Shit. I ain't got nothing else to say, man. I'm out of here, man. See me on part 3, man. We'll conclude this on part 3, hopefully.
Peace.